Today we're doing Module 5, Lesson 17. The objective is to place various fractions on the number line. The materials needed for today are your online whiteboard or whiteboard dry erase marker and dry eraser. And you may also want your fraction strips to help you reference. The teaching style we're going to follow is where I do it, we do it together, and then you do it on your own. So first I'm going to show you an example. It says locate and label the following fractions on the number line. So you can see that we have a number line that starts at 0 and it ends at 3. So that means we have 1, 2, 3 holes on our number line. Okay, last time we looked at fractions that were bigger. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to put those on the number line. So the first thing we need to do is figure out what we need to break our number line into. If I look at all my fractions, you can see my denominator in all of them is 6. Okay, so because my denominator or my bottom number is 6, that means that my number line needs to be broken into sixths. So the first thing I'm going to do is break my number line into sixths. So between 0 and 1, I need 6 pieces. The easiest way to make 6 pieces is to break it in half and then break it into thirds. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing between 1 and 2, break it in half and then break it into thirds. And between 2 and 3, break it in half and then break it into thirds. It's okay if it's not completely perfect as long as you make sure you have 6 pieces. So if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so in that one hole, there's 6 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In that hole, there's 6 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in that hole, there's 6 pieces. Okay, so I have my number line broken up into sixths. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to label these fractions. Okay, so the easiest way for me to be able to label these is to look at the numerator and to count. Well, 0 we know is right here at the beginning where 0 is. So this first line would be 0, 6. It means we haven't used any sixths yet. Okay, so I used that one. Next one is 6, 6. Well, that would be the 6th jump. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's right on the 1. And that's right on one hole because I have all 6 pieces out of 6 pieces, which is one hole. Another way you could think about this is 6 divided by 6. So if we count by 6s until we get to 6, 6. It just takes us one time, so that's one hole. Okay, let's keep going. Next one is 12 sixths. Well, I'm already at 6 right here, so I'm just going to keep counting. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 sixths is right above our 2. So 12 sixths is really 2 holes. Well, if we go back to our trick and you think about this as 12 divided by 6, we count by 6s till we get to 12. 6, 12. It took us 2 times. So 12 sixths is really like 2 holes. Okay, so that one's done. Now we have 3 sixths. So I'm going to go all the way back to 0 and count 1, 2, 3. There's our 3 sixths, which looks like it's halfway in between 0 sixths and 6 sixths. I'm going to go ahead and cross that one out. And next is 9/6. I'm going to go ahead and start at 6 and count up till I get to 9. So 6, 7, 8, 9. And here is my 9/6, which also looks like it's halfway in between one hole and two holes, or 6/6 and 12/6. Okay, so really the bottom number is just telling us how many pieces our fraction strip needs to be broken into, or our number line. And the top number tells us what line that goes at, okay? So if it's a 3 on top, we have to make 1, 2, 3 hops. Okay, let's go ahead and have you try one with me. Same thing, locate and label the fractions on the number line. The first thing I want you to do is make your number line. Notice that this time it starts at one hole, and then we have 2 holes, 3 holes, and 4 holes. So I'm going to give you a minute to make your number line, and then we'll talk about how many pieces it needs to be broken into. Okay, so hopefully you have your number line ready. And first, let's figure out what we're breaking it into. If we look at our denominator, or our bottom number, in all the fractions, it's a 4. So we need to break each of these holes into 4 pieces. The easiest way to break into 4 pieces is to split it in half and then half again. Just like when we had our fraction strip, we folded it in half and then half again, and that made fourths. So let's go between 1 and 2. And we're going to make a line halfway. And then you're going to go between 1 and that line you just made and cut that in half again. And then between your halfway and the 2, break that in half again. So we made 3 lines, but if you start at the 1 and jump, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So we've broken that up into fourths. I'm going to give you just a moment to make sure yours matches mine, and then we'll keep breaking up the rest of the number line. Okay, so now let's go between 2 and 3. Break it in half. Break it in half again over here. Break it in half again over here. And if you start at the 2 and get to the 3, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. Now we just have to do it again one more time between 3 and 4. Break it in half. Break it in half again. and break it in half again. And if we check our work, 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. And if we check our work, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So if we count our jumps, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now that we have our number line broken into fourths, we can start labeling. Okay, the hard part is figuring out where to start. Okay, because 8/4 isn't going to be the 8th jump because we're not starting at 0. So we need to figure out what fraction starts at 1 so we can make sure we're starting at the right number. Well, if you remember our little division trick, okay, let's start with 8 divided by 4. If we count by 4s till we get to 8, 4, 8. So this is really like 2 wholes. Okay. So what we can actually do is we're going to put that 1 at 2 wholes. So here's 2 wholes, and I'm going to label that 8/4 because I know that's the same as 2 wholes. Make sure you have yours labeled like mine. Okay, now there's 2 ways we can figure out what 1 whole means from here. So we can go backwards. We're at 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. So 1 whole must need to be 4 fourths. So I can cross out 4 fourths, but let's figure out if that's right. If 4 fourths is 1 whole, then 4 divided by 4 should be 1. Count by 4s till we get to 4. 4. Well, we only had to count once, so 4 divided by 4 equals 1, which means 4 fourths is 1 whole. So now that we've figured out that our number line starts at 4, it should be easier to label 6 fourths, 12 fourths, and 16 fourths. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to label those 3 fractions that are left, and then we'll check your work with mine. Okay, let's go ahead and see if your answers match mine. So the first fraction we're going to do is 6 out of 4, 6/4. I'm going to start at 4 and keep counting until I get to 6. So 4, 5, 6. So this line here should be 6/4. Okay, next I'm going to do 12/4. I already have an 8 here, so I'm going to just start at 8 and keep counting. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So right on this 3 line is 12/4. Well, that must mean that 12 divided by 4 equals 3. Let's check and see if that's correct. Count by 4s till we get to 12. 4, 8, 12. Took us 3 times. So 12 divided by 4 equals 3. So 12/4 is the same thing as having 3 wholes. So another way to picture that, this is just a side note. When we're saying 3 wholes, that's like saying we have 3 shapes broken into 4 pieces or fourths. Okay? And then there should be 12 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's the picture that would represent 12/4 or 3 whole shapes. Okay, so I'm going to cross out 12/4, and then next is 16/4. I'm going to start at 12 and start counting up. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16/4. I see that's right above 4 wholes. So let's check our work. 16 divided by 4 should equal 4 then. Count by 4s till we get to 16, 4, 8, 12, 16. We had to count 4 times, so 16 divided by 4 equals 4 wholes. So that would be like over here where we have 3 wholes, except now we would have 4 of them broken into fourths. This was 12, now we have 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay? So that's all that means when that top number is bigger than the bottom number. It means that you have more than one whole shape. So when we're on the number line, it means we have more than one whole number. Okay, let's take a look at what you're going to be working on today alone. Your homework is Cami. You're doing number 1 and 2, same directions that we just followed. Locate and label the fractions on the number line. Okay, so you can see that they give you the number line in both examples. This one does start at 0, but this one does not. It starts at 2. Okay, so I'll give you a little hint. If we have 2 wholes, because that's what this means, 2 wholes. If we look at our denominator, it's broken into 3 pieces. So I'm going to break each shape into 3 pieces. You can look at my picture and figure out how many pieces are there all together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means that 2 wholes is really like having 6 pieces, and each shape's broken into thirds, so that's the same as 6/3. So when you start at the 2 here, you're going to be starting with 6/3, okay? Remember to make sure to break up your number line before you start labeling. So for the top number line up here, the denominator is 2. So that just means you need to break each whole into 2 pieces. And down here, the denominator is 3, so you need to break each whole into 3 pieces. Okay? Go ahead and open up your Cami and get started with your labeling. Remember that you can write the fractions like this. If it's easier for you, you can always use the text box function and just do, for example, 1/2. Okay? That would be the same thing as 1/2. Okay? Whichever is easiest for you to write with. Go ahead and begin.